Good morning. Today is Monday, September the 20th, 2021. We will start the new week with reading and comprehension. A story about a girl named Anna and her basketball adventure.
Good morning, happy Monday. How was your weekend? Did you rest well? Are you ready for another week of online class? Okay. So, today, Monday morning, September 20, 2021. We will start, as almost every Monday, with a reading and comprehension class. I split the story up in two parts again, so we're going to read part 1 today, and then tomorrow we do part 2, but tomorrow you also have to read part 1 one more time, and then answer the questions, yes? So let's start with reading, but before we do that, there are quite a few words in there that need to be discovered, so we do first 6 vocabulary words. Okay, let's start with our first 3 vocabulary words. Number 1, teenager, teenager, teenager. Remember this word from the science book when it's all about the human life cycles. So, when are you a teenager? Well, literally when you're between 10 and 19 years old. But normally, like between 12, 13 until 19 is called a teenager. Remember, the other word we can use is adolescent. Okay, so a teenager is basically a child that is in his teens. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Okay, so that's the first one, teenager. Next one, number 2, F-E-N-C-E, fence, fence. What is a fence? I made a drawing of a fence. So, excuse me. Our story is about basketball and kids playing basketball in the park. And sometimes there is a fence around the basketball court. So when the ball goes too far, it will hit the fence and come back, so you don't have to run after it. So a fence is like a gate around a certain area, so you don't lose the ball or maybe other stuff that you don't want to run after. Okay? So a fence is like a tall gate around a basketball court in this case. Then the next one, B-O-U-N-C-E, bounce, bounce. So, as I said, it's about basketball, and you bounce the ball. It means the ball hits the ground and comes back. Bounce, boing, 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 bounce. Same if you jump on a trampoline, you bounce off the trampoline. So bounce is like the ball hit the ground and come back, boing, boing. So, to bounce the ball. Okay, so teenager, fence. Fence is like a big gate around something. And bounce. Bounce the ball on the floor. Good. 3 more. Okay, 3 more words from the story. Number 4. T-O-S-S-E-D. T-O-S-S-E-D. Tossed. Tossed. You can also take the ed away. Toss. So, present tense, toss. Past tense, tossed. What is tossed? So, in the story, as I told you about basketball, they toss the ball. It means they throw the ball. So, tossed is another word for throwing. Okay? So, throw the ball. In the story, they call it toss the ball. But it's the same thing. Throw and toss. Next one, number 5. P-O-N-D. Pond. Pond. What is a pond? Well, the kids are in a park and there's a little area of water where the ducks swim in, and that is called a pond. So a pond is like an area of water that is not connected to a river or an ocean. So it's like usually not too big, because if it's a really big pond we call it a lake, but a small area of water with some frogs in it and maybe some ducks is called a pond. Okay, and then number 6, Y-E-L-L-I-N-G. Yelling. Yelling. In the story, there is a little girl, Anna, and she is sitting by the pond watching the ducks, and all of a sudden she hears yelling. It's the boys that play basketball. They yell at Anna, "Hey, can you get a ball?" So yelling is another word for shouting. Okay, so yelling or shouting or speaking very loud, that is yelling. Okay, so remember these words, they will come back in the story later. One more time. Tossed, T-O-S-S-E-D, throw the ball. Pond, P-O-N-D, a little area of water with ducks and frogs, maybe a turtle in there. And number 6, yelling, Y-E-L-L-I-N-G. That is, hey, shouting. That is yelling. Okay? Good. Underline, and let's have a look at our story for today. Okay, so the story is called Anna and Her Basketball Adventure. So Anna is basically in the park. She is looking at the ducks in the pond. And in the park is also a basketball court. And there are some teenage boys playing basketball. Now, what happens later? That's what we have to read the story for, right? So we will read about 3/4 of the story today, and then the rest we will read tomorrow. But tomorrow we will read the whole story one more time, and then answer the questions. But for today, it's just reading. Okay? So let's read together about Anna and her basketball adventure, and then tomorrow we do part 2. Okay? Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's read the first part of the story. So once again, the title is Anna and Her Basketball Adventure. Okay, are you ready? Let's read together. A group of teenage boys was playing basketball on the court at the park. The basketball court didn't have a fence around it. If one of the boys missed the basket, someone had to catch the basketball quickly so it wouldn't bounce too far away. One more time. A group of teenage boys was playing basketball on the court at the park. The basketball court didn't have a fence around it. If one of the boys missed the basket, someone had to catch the ball quickly so it wouldn't bounce too far away. One of the boys was showing off. Showing off means, oh, look at me, I can do it. He wanted to be the best. So one of the boys was showing off, and he tossed the ball with all of his strength from the one end of the court toward the basket on the other end. So one more time. One of the boys was showing off, and he tossed the ball with all of his strength from the one end of the court toward the basket on the other end. The ball was flying like a rocket over the heads of all of the other boys. Then it kept right on flying. It flew straight over the basket and out into the field. One more time. The ball was flying like a rocket over the heads of all the other boys. Then it kept right on flying. It flew straight over the basket and out into the field. Anna was sitting at the end of the field, near the pond, watching the ducks swim. She heard some yelling and turned to see a big orange object headed her way. The yelling was coming from the teenage boys. "Stop the ball!" one of them shouted. One more time. Anna was sitting at the end of the field near the pond, watching the ducks swim. She heard some yelling and turned to see a big orange object headed her way. The yelling was coming from the teenage boys. "Stop the ball!" one of them shouted. The ball landed a few meters away from her. It started rolling and was heading right for the pond. The ducks saw it nearing and started flapping their wings wildly in fear. So the ducks were worried because they saw the basketball coming towards them and they flapped their wings. One more time. The ball landed a few meters away from her. It started rolling and was heading right for the pond. The ducks saw it nearing and started flapping their wings wildly in fear. Okay, please go back, put the video back to where the story starts and read it again.
Okay, what I want you to do is go back, put the video back and read it again. Okay, so read it again and try to understand what the whole story is about. Then tomorrow we will do part 2. For now, I'll see you in the afternoon for our math class, and that is around 1 p.m. I will upload that video. Okay, so see you in the afternoon.